This CB1300-2007 model does not have factory-installed turn signal cancelling system. That's why today we are installing ST2 turn system self-cancelling turn signal module on this Honda. Okay, what's in the package? The module itself, some installation accessories and a user manual. First, a brief overview of how this Honda has implemented turn signal switching. Very basic setup. The left handlebar switch group switch is wired like this. The middle wire is connected to the turn signal relay, and the other two are connected to the left and right turn signals and dashboard indicators.
If we look at the wiring diagram, we can see that the front indicator lights wires branched before the first connector.
Now let's look at a simplified wiring diagram. Only the most important parts are shown: the relay, the switch, and the indicators. Let's add another set of lights and get the whole picture.
We are now interested in where these connections are.
It's somewhere between the connectors and the switch assembly. You can't see it directly because the bundle of wires is in a protective sleeve. We'll have to make a guess and open the protective sleeve at some point. Another option would be to disassemble the connectors and remove the protective sleeve. I chose the first option anyway.
Add ST2 to the picture and we get the final wiring diagram.
The connection point of ST2 is between the branch point and the switch.
The next task is to remove the switch and its wires from the motorcycle.
First, we need to open the headlight case to see which connectors need to be opened. The wiring diagram reveals that the blue, light blue, orange and black connectors must be opened. This can also be seen by following the wires from the left cluster of switches. I chose the opening point of the protective sleeve relatively close to the switch. The choice of location worked pretty well. The appropriate point to cut the wires is at the screwdriver because the light blue and orange wires are branched immediately to the left of the screwdriver. The gray wire is not branched at all. I first connected the wires together with a through connector. From one of these I got two by cutting it in half. The joint was then soldered and finished with a heat shrink. This made the joint strong and small enough that all 6 wires fit back to wire sleeve. Then the switch assembly was installed back so I could measure the lengths of the wires. This wiring spaghetti had to be pulled from under the tank, because I didn't bother to remove the tank, but it was quite easy. All 6 wires are inserted into a braided cable sleeve and secured with zip tie. The next step is to make the connector box. I attach the housing to a metal plate which is further attached to the battery case. The inlet for the wires is on the underside of the enclosure. The case and its plates can be easily removed and turned aside when you need to remove the battery. At this point plans changed. I rejected the housing option and decided to place the connectors with the other connectors under the tank. I pulled the harness out from under the tank, shortened it and connected the connectors to the wires. Before doing so, I made sure that the wires with their connectors fit between the body tubes. They fit as planned. I chose the polarity of the connectors so that the ST2 could be bypassed without having to re-solder the wires. Then I replaced the ST2 module connectors with new ones, 2 for the turn signal switch and 1 for the power supply. The power cable for the ST2 module was made in the same way as the other wires. The previous owner had added a power connector. I decided to use the same source for ST2. It is worth noting that the power for the ST2 must be taken from a point where the power is only applied when the ignition is on. In this case, the ST2 in power connector gets its power from a relay that activates when ignition is turned on. The module is attached with adhesive mounting pad. Same is used for action camera mounts, for example. A suitable location is on top of the air filter housing. The connectors fit in with the other connectors under the tank. There is not a lot of space, but enough. The connectors are now connected. Finally, the wires are neatly tied with zip ties. The turn signal switch must only excite ST2, so the turn signal switch must act as a momentary switch. The turn signal switch shall not remain permanently on. Such pieces of cellular plastic of different thickness are supplied with a package to limit the operation of the turn signal switch so that it only gives a signal to the ST2 module to activate the flashing function, while preventing the switch from remaining on. In this case, the thinnest of these was the most appropriate. The wires are now neatly taped and tied and ST2 is ready for action. However, I may later replace the tape with a self-wrap sleeve, as the regular heat shrink tube could not be used in this case due to the connectors and the switch group.